Hello. Hello. Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us today. It's not quite as good as being able to see you in person, but we at least have the opportunity to see one another and commune, as it were, virtually. We wanted to get together today, first just to say Happy New Year and to check in, to provide you with some updates on what's going on nationally, and to take any questions at the end that you all may have so that we can make sure that you're updated. Now, we want to give a special thanks to all of our affiliates and individual members who contributed to our end of year campaign. The good news is we are still totaling the gifts received, but we look forward to being able to share with you very soon what the outcome of the campaign was. And I want to be sure that we have plenty of room for our CEO to provide an update. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Gloria Blackwell, who many of you have had an opportunity to meet in other town halls. And for those of you who have not yet, you're in for a treat today. Gloria, take it away.
Thank you so much, Julia, and welcome everyone. We're very excited to have the opportunity to engage with you this afternoon. So first, I wanted to start off by just giving you a little bit of information about me. Everyone has had the opportunity, to see the bio that went out when I was appointed CEO at AAUW. And a number of folks have said, well, we'd like to know a little bit more about you, Gloria. And I can just let you know that according to my Twitter profile, one thing you should know about me is that I am a mom of three. I have two daughters and a son, and my youngest is a junior at the University of Maryland, College Park, and my other two have graduated and they have gone off to lead their young adult lives. I consider myself to be a global gender equity advocate. I love taking long walks, so I'm a nature walker and a lover of history. It was my experience as a Peace Corps volunteer that really steered me in the direction of being a global gender equity advocate, and I consider myself to be a servant leader and have been one throughout my career. So that's just a little bit about me. So let's talk a little bit about the transition that I and everyone have been going through as I have taken on the role of AAUW CEO. I was obviously quite excited, as you can see in the upper right-hand corner. That's me. I was very excited when I got the news and the offer to become AAUW's new CEO. But as you can also see, there's something hovering just a bit over that excitement, and that is the coronavirus pandemic, which obviously, as we move into our third year of working remotely, has certainly had an impact on AAUW's work and obviously the national staff and our members. But it's been truly gratifying to take the helm of AAUW during this time. And I've been focusing during these past few months on listening, learning, and connecting with members, donors, supporters, obviously with our partners, and of course with the AAUW staff. And I've been energized and truly grateful for your support. And so this is a new chapter. But we are continuing to focus on our core focus areas of education and training, leadership, and economic security. And they remain the priorities that we will continue to be focused on. And my priority at AAUW has always been to continue to leverage AAUW's incredible success in order to grow our impact. And so stepping into the shoes of the CEO for me was also about continuing that success, continuing learning, and also understanding that even though I've been with AAUW for a substantial amount of time, that doesn't mean that I don't have more to learn. That doesn't mean that there aren't opportunities to grow. So I'm approaching the CEO transition just like someone who has come to AAUW brand new. I'm taking the expertise that I have and using it to inform so many of my conversations, but I remain open to new ideas and to listening and to ensuring that we continue to ask the questions that should be asked about where we are and where we're going and how we're going to get there as an organization. We have a strong foundation. Even during the pandemic, things have continued to grow and thrive. We were able to pivot utilizing education, research, and advocacy in the ways in which have always served AAUW. It is an ongoing challenge, but the AAUW staff has certainly risen to the challenge, and I want to let them know that we certainly appreciate all the work that they have done. So the successes have been many. Uh, in 2021, just in the past 6 months and less, we have had a number of successes. We piloted not just one, but 3 new programs during the pandemic. AAUW Money Smart, with the support of our partners at the Coca-Cola Foundation, and in partnership with our historically Black colleges and universities. With the support of the Arconic Foundation, we were also so grateful to be able to pilot a new program for high school girls in grades 9 through 12, STEM Ed for Girls. So we had a 6-week summer program that also featured our incredible AAUW Fellowships and Grants alumni that provided opportunities for girls to learn more about STEM careers. We also engaged their parents and caregivers, which is something that we know makes AAUW's program unique, and nearly 1,000 parents and caregivers and students were able to benefit from this program. We also piloted our Social Change Ambassador Certificate, which was an opportunity for young professionals to participate in a 7-week program and walk away with a valuable credential in order to add to their resume and to increase their professional growth. So those 3 pilots were certainly successes that we were able to undertake despite the pandemic. We also, of course, were able to continue with our amazing fellowships and grants programs. And as you see some of the images in the presentation, one of the things that we really spent a lot of time on in the past few months is providing new social media content and fresh images to be able to reinvigorate our external facing AAUW presence. So $5 million in fellowships. During the pandemic, we actually increased our fellowship giving to the highest levels ever and were able to help even more women. We also continued Work Smart and Start Smart and made sure that training continued so that women could get paid what they deserved. We launched a new partnership with designer Angela Scott called the Women Who Mean Business Grant, which is a part of our Community Action Grant program. And there's a picture of our first recipient, Chastity. And for the very first time, We Nick Whistle was a virtual program, supporting nearly 900 students from over 350 campuses, as well as global participants who were able to participate for the very first time. So we were able to have a tremendous amount of success. In addition, as we moved into the fall, AAUW was invited to participate in the centennial celebration of scientist Marie Curie and her winning the Nobel Prize. AAUW was acknowledged along with the Curie Institute in Paris at a ceremony at the French Embassy. And we were honored for the way in which AAUW served as a fundraising arm to secure the gram of radium that Dr. Curie needed to do her groundbreaking research. We also launched our 140th anniversary event with our award, Alumni Recognition Award, to Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who is the first African and first woman Director General of the World Trade Organization and a proud AAUW Fellowships alumna. And we will continue bringing you AAUW alumni throughout our 140th year and bringing you their accomplishments through our webinars. In addition, we continued our activism, sending over 68,000 letters to elected officials. We thank all of you who continue with those important efforts. We launched an Equal Pay Day series in New York City, which was quite successful in keeping our pay equity advocacy work not just on the legislative side, but with employers and participants as well, and making sure that we're promoting our three-pronged approach for tackling the pay gap, and launched, among others, a report on systemic racism and the pay gap. Looking ahead, next week, we are going to be having a launch of a new report with the EOS Foundation, which is in their second year of funding us through their Women's Power Gap initiative, a new report on how few women have ascended to the presidency, particularly in Research One institutions. I hope that you will tune in and get some really important information about, despite the many efforts that have taken place, women still lag behind men at the highest levels in academia. We also received new funding from the Baxter Foundation, in addition to a second year of funding from Arconic, so that we can bring STEM Ed for Girls back to AAUW's program area this summer, and we're excited about that. In addition, we'll be working with the Rochester Institute of Technology on a new NSF grant, National Science Foundation grant, focused on compensation at higher ed institutions. We're partnering with Gallaudet University, Drexel, and with Villanova. And of course, you'll soon be hearing about NCWSL 2022, which will also be virtual. And we hope that you will support young women in attending NCWSL this summer in May once again. You probably just received information about the AAUW Note Card and art contest, so please get your entries in by the end of January. We love seeing all of your beautiful designs. We'll also be celebrating the 50th anniversary of Title IX later on this year in June, and we'll be sending out information where you can, in your local communities, be engaged. And of course, we continue to work with the administration and ensuring that the issues that are important to AAUW as we build back from the pandemic, such as paid leave and childcare, as well as, of course, eliminating student debt, are ones that we continue to advocate for. And you will constantly be encouraged to make sure that you are in touch with your elected officials. And I want to thank everyone who participated in AAUW's 5-Star program this past year. It is a program that really provides a lot of intentional engagement in AAUW's mission. The new program is ready to go, and we hope that you will sign on to it and have an opportunity to really have AAUW come alive in your local communities. I'd also like to let everyone know that we will be launching the AAUW Community Hub through Nimble, which will be our new system, in February. We're in the midst of testing right now. It has been a labor of love and an ongoing process, and we thank everyone who participated in it. We are looking forward to sharing that information with all members in the coming weeks with the launch, which will be happening in February. So those are just a few of the things that have been happening at AAUW National. We could not have obviously done so much of it without the participation and the support of our members. We will be continuing our DEI resources and our webinars around those topics as well. That's very important. And just we want you to make sure that you're keeping an eye out for so many of the opportunities that we are making available to you. So as you can see, it's been a very, very busy year for AAUW. It's been a very busy few months for me as CEO. And one of the things that I have been asked on a number of occasions is, how is it that we can ensure that AAUW remains a relevant organization? And I can let you know that AAUW is a relevant organization and will continue to be one, and that will continue to make that happen by staying focused on the issues that we know are going to have the greatest impact on closing the gender gap, and also that are relevant to women and girls, particularly as we move through the pandemic and beyond. We want to make sure that education, advocacy, and research remain the core ways in which AAUW uh, services our communities, and that we stay true to our mission, and that we always continue to take into just take into account the unique challenges that face women no matter where they are, and that we are responsive to those challenges, and that we meet women where they are, and that we use our success to maximum advantage, and that we leverage those successes to ensure that we are having the greatest impact. And I am excited and so thrilled to be able to partner with all of you to make that happen, because ultimately we want to make a better future for all women and girls as a result of our collective work. So thank you very much. I would like to now introduce Melinda Gaul, AAUW's Governance Chair. Melinda?
Good afternoon, and thank you for attending. As chair of the Governance Committee, I want to give you a little AAUW history to start out. At our 2009 National Convention, AAUW changed from delegate voting at conventions to each member having a vote. And in 2017, AAUW held its last national convention. In 2018, the membership voted to adopt 3-year staggered terms on the board of directors, and since 2019, yearly votes to elect 4 directors and the appointment of 1 director have been conducted to implement the change in this leadership. As a result, currently the Governance Committee is looking at the need for 2 amendments to our bylaws to address notice periods which do not support this new leadership structure. Most voting occurs electronically, but we do not have valid email addresses on file for every AAUW member. So here's a plug. Please send us your email address so that we can keep in contact with you. That's the easiest, fastest, and best way. So because we don't have email addresses for every member, we have to send out paper ballots through the mail, the very slow mail. So one of the proposed changes to the bylaws that we're asking the membership to implement is to help relieve the administrative burden on staff in getting out these mailed ballots. The new language would give staff 60 days between the eligibility date for voting and the meeting date for elections to mail out those paper ballots. The current bylaws also require that the nominating committee provide notice of open positions on the board and request for nominations 8 months prior to the date of the election. Now, this is a holdover for when elections were conducted at conventions every 2 years. But since elections are now held every year and the same number of positions are available each year, there is no need for 8 months advance notice to the membership. Plus, the 8-month advance notice sure hampers the nominating committee's ability to receive applications, recruit people to apply, and to review and vet those candidates for the positions that are elected in May. So, under the bylaws, every member has input to bylaws changes. So the Governance Committee has prepared proposed language, which is going to be sent to each of you and every other member next week for the required comment period. You will have until February 2nd of 2022 to make your comments regarding these proposed changes to the bylaws. The final proposed changes will then be voted on by everyone in May of 2022. These are the only two changes to the bylaws that are being proposed this year. The Governance Committee, in consultation with the board, with various committees and task forces who worked on the last election, have decided that a vote regarding the membership eligibility requirement of a 2-year degree will not occur in 2022. The Governance Committee, however, is beginning a complete review of the bylaws. Since we've had many significant amendments to the bylaws in the last decade, it needs an overhaul. So Governance Committee is going to be looking at the bylaws and looking at the language to make sure it's consistent and to see what changes, if any, need to be made to bring us within best practices. So on behalf of the Bylaws Committee, the Governance Committee, I tell you, stay tuned for what we will be sending you regarding the immediate proposed changes, and look in the future for what we plan to do regarding other bylaws changes. Thank you, Gloria.
And thank you, Melinda. I think now we're going to move into the Q&A portion of today's member gathering. Certainly, if you have questions, we would appreciate it if you would send them to the chat function, and we'll be able to take care of them. We also know that there were a number of questions, and I want to thank everyone who submitted their questions prior to the event. We really appreciate it. So I'm going to start off by addressing a few of the questions that came through. So one of them is around what National is doing. So I think it's important that everyone be informed about what's going on, and we try very, very diligently to get the word out to our members and partners and donors about what's happening. So a lot of the information, of course, is on the AAUW website. We really encourage members and all of our affiliates, to go to the website to get the most up-to-date information about the resources and the tools that AAUW has available. It really does have a wealth of information that will assist you in so many of the functions that you are working on and that take place in your local areas. And of course, we have a number of newsletters that go out on a regular basis. Mission in Action, of course, it goes to all members. Membership Matters, which goes to all the member leaders, are really important resources. And of course, you can always check out AAUW social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram as well, to really find out, in the moment what's happening with AAUW activities and engagement. So I definitely hope that everyone will make sure that you check out all of those resources. But if you're not receiving information, it could be that you need to subscribe, or that we have the correct email address for you, because email is a way that we do communicate quite a bit. So if you want to make sure that you're receiving, for example, Mission in Action, which goes out to all members, please make sure that you didn't unsubscribe by mistake. We know there are lots of things we would like to unsubscribe to, but I would hope that Mission in Action isn't one of them, and you could continue to receive it. All right. So I see a number of questions that have been coming in.
While you're looking at those, Gloria, let me say that some people are typing their questions into the chat box.
Oh, that's true, because I meant to
We
say.
need to put them in the Q&A box.
True.
Let me go ahead and address one that is in the chat box that I sent a written response to. And it was from a member who pointed out that her mother, who is aged, does not use a computer. And she was concerned that members would only be communicated to in terms of a ballot via email, and that those with no email would be made irrelevant. Certainly, we don't think any of our members are irrelevant, whether they do computers or email or not. And just as we have always done for those members for whom we have no email address, a paper ballot has always been sent, and we will continue to send them a paper ballot.
Great. Thanks, Julia. And I'm the one who said chat and meant Q&A, so I see a number of them. All right, so I will jump over to the chat and answer. There's a question about STEM Ed for Girls. Is STEM Ed the Girls the same as Tech Trek? Actually, no, it is not. STEM Ed for Girls is a program that is not connected to a college campus. It's not a residential program. It is a program that is modeled on engaging not just girls, but their parents. And you can find out everything that you'd like to learn about STEM Ed for Girls. You can find out on the AUW website. It is a series of 6 sessions, each focusing on a different STEM area. And it really is also about assisting high school girls in the journey along the pathway to college, starting in the 9th grade with what courses to take, or in working with the parents on things like taking the SATs and at college admission. So it's a very differently structured program that really takes into account the needs of girls and their parents. Okay. Another question about there's a question here about the AAW status and what is AAW doing to support the ERA? I can answer that question. The ERA is a key part of AAW's public policy priorities and something that we have been committed to in the past and that we are continuing to be committed to. It's a policy area that we do continue to engage on. We're working actively in coalition on the congressional strategy. We do have an action alert that is live and ongoing, urging senators to advance the resolution that already passed in the House that would lift the deadline on ratification of the amendment. And we are engaged in the ongoing amicus briefs on the matter. Just to let you know that ERA is still a part of the engagement that AAUW has, and that we will continue as much as possible to make sure that we keep you updated. Let's see. Julia, do you see a question or Melinda that you'd like to respond to?
I do. There's several questions in the chat portion about the membership requirement and why we're not having a vote, or when we're going to have a vote on this, and why we're not having a vote. A very, very big group of people were involved in the campaign last year regarding the requirement of having a 2-year degree. We have talked with each of those people, and it was felt that we had reached the membership, that we had talked the pros and cons, and that the membership had voted and just short of changing the requirement. And we felt that just having another vote this year was not the right thing to do at this time. The question was also, if we're reviewing the bylaws, are we looking at diversity and inclusion? And that's exactly what we're looking at. We're looking at the bylaws and the overall structure of AAUW to address many of the issues that we have, inclusion being one of them, but also questions of how we can keep our structures going, how we recruit officers, things we've been hearing about for many years, and the issue of communication between branches, states, and nationals. And some of you have asked questions about who do I reach out to for my questions when my branches are reaching out to me. Each state has a board liaison, And if you reach out to your state president can then contact their board member, and their board member is a good resource for getting that information that you don't have at the state level. So again, that's what the governance committee is looking at. We're looking at how to make this organization stronger and better for our members, and not just focusing on the one issue of the 2-year degree requirement.
Great. Thanks, Melinda. A question, does AAUW still have a presence at the United Nations? The answer is yes. I continue to be AAUW's main representative to the United Nations. We do continue to have special consultative status with the Economic and Social Council, and we remain abreast of all of the UN relevant activities, particularly around the Sustainable Development Goals. We continue to participate in the UN Commission on the Status of Women. As a matter of fact, we are right now waiting to hear about our acceptance of our parallel event for the 66th Commission, which will be taking place in March. We also continue to support 2 youth representatives who represent AAUW at the United Nations as well. They are both students at Lehigh University. And so although the UN has obviously been operating on a different status the past few years with everything, with the CSW being canceled in 2020 and in 2021 going virtual, it will be virtual again this year for the 66th, but on a limited basis, the UN will be opening starting later in the spring. But everything has been virtual, and AAUW has been attending meetings and participating. Okay.
I see there's several questions about new branding and new colors. And I just want to reach out, and I know a lot of people have noticed that on the new website, there is a different color than many of us are using in the past. But if you want access to that, you go to the logos on the website and you can get that, but you don't have to change. It's not an official. I find it very, very beneficial to have, because we changed the website and you now know if it's in the orangish red, that's the updated information. So see the positive to it. And if you Google something and it shows up the old colors, you better check out if that's old information or if it's current information.
True, but I'd also like to say thanks, Melinda, that there, as you said, there was no official, now you have to use this particular, it's a part of a broadened color palette that the communications department has available. But, obviously we would love for everything, to be in sync and all look the same. But as long as, you're using the approved logos and any part of that color palette, that's fine, definitely. There are a number of questions in here about updating things on the website, or I see when will Shape the Future status be updated. Part of what will be happening is that we are going to do top to bottom. We're looking at the website and making sure that, the pages are updated. I mean, clearly there are hundreds of pages on the AAUW website, and we're just trying to make sure that we do stay abreast of them, but we take note of the things that are mentioned here to make sure that the team understands, which pages do need to be updated. Let's see. We will be bringing everyone up to date on the new Aauw Community Hub for membership, and give you an idea of all of its functions that would be too numerous to go into now, but just please make sure that you keep an eye out for that correspondence that will be coming about it as well. Melinda or Julia, is another question that you'd like to take?
I saw again a mention that Alaska has branches but no state organization. And the governance committee is addressing that, and we understand that. And you still have a board liaison to Alaska, even though it doesn't have a state organization. There's other states who don't have an official state organization. So you can still reach out to your board member to get information and assistance with those issues that you can't address through your state leadership or your leadership of your branch.
Mhm. Great. Another question around, does AAUW have a national policy on vaccines, masks, and social distancing that branches should apply to our meetings? I know that we have sent out in our correspondence since the pandemic began, how we feel everyone should be following guidelines as they relate to the COVID-19 pandemic. And we really want everyone just to continue to follow your city, state, and county guidelines and be mindful of the risks. That's the reason why we have had our own programs that have been virtual and not in person, at the national level. Clearly, judging by what's been happening in the past few weeks, we know that the pandemic isn't over. And, I think that many people regularly engage with people who may be unvaccinated, and you are taking a risk. And we also have to remember that virtual gatherings really help us to expand our reach and to bring in individuals who might not otherwise have access to AAUW's programming. So, continue to be mindful of the vaccines and what's being recommended locally. And we still continue at the national office. Our number one priority is to ensure the safety, health, and well-being of our national staff, partners, and of course, those of you who are in our affiliates. Okay. Question about the status of the Legal Advocacy Fund. The work of LAF is going along quite well. We are supporting, I believe right now we're supporting 4 or 5 plaintiffs. We've also, we're starting a new program with LAF where we are supporting on 2 campuses. We are supporting legal clinics, and you can find out more about that information. It'll be coming out in Mission and Action, but LAF is strong, and we continue to support some very worthy plaintiffs who continue to be very thankful of AAUW's support. And so you can definitely find out about that. Question about Title IX. I think I mentioned already that AAUW will be participating and celebrating the 50th anniversary. We will certainly make sure that affiliates are informed about national level activities because they're not only national level. We want to make sure that the affiliates are engaged. And I wanted to share that AAUW has last year, we received a contact from ESPN to contribute to a documentary that they're doing on Title IX. We also have a sample resolution that we're going to be sharing with our affiliates so that you can use it if you choose to encourage your state legislators to commemorate the anniversary of Title IX. So we will make sure that that information is sent out to you in a timely manner so that you can plan and prepare at the local level. So thank you for that. Thank you for that question. Let's see. Lots of questions.
I see a question about a few governance committee questions. One particular one was about using Robert's Rules of Order. You need to look at your bylaws. Most states' laws and most bylaws say that bylaws control unless there's nothing that talks about the bylaws and then Robert's Rules. So you're not forced to use Robert's Rules as long as you have bylaws that govern your organization. So write it into your bylaws and look at the AAUW bylaws to seek for guidance. Also a question about the guidance for financial, working in partnerships. Again, if you have those kind of questions on understanding what some of our policies are, you can reach out to your board member and they will help you get that information or explain it to you. So that's what I suggest you do on any kind of questions that you have like that.
Question around, someone asked me, what has surprised you most as you have transitioned into the CEO role? I would say that it's a very different opportunity and position when, for example, I have at AAUW over the past 17 years, I have been, if I use being in a car, I've been in the back seat, I've been in the passenger seat, and now next to the driver, which is fine because I didn't really have to be the driver. And now I'm in the driver's seat. And so in each of those roles, I have had an opportunity to observe, participate, and lead different functions at AAUW. But being in the driver's seat is obviously an immense responsibility. And I think what has surprised me and what has really been gratifying as well is just the strength of AAUW as an organization, which I knew based on the ways in which I have contributed to its success over the years, but the strength of AAUW and the potential of the organization, as well as the complexity of an organization, that is both a foundation in many ways, and a philanthropic organization and a membership-based organization, and the marrying of those two entities, and the ongoing challenges that they do pose. Not just the challenges, but the ongoing possibilities, and how I'm still excited and energized about the possibilities of AAUW. So thank you for that question.
I see a technical question about if there's a difference between a branch and an affiliate. I know we throw affiliate terms out there. Every part of AAUW is defined as an affiliate. So you can have a branch affiliate, a state affiliate, a student organization affiliate, a college and university affiliate. That's a general term, and it does represent branches, states, and any other organization under the AAUW umbrella. There was also a question about when will AAUW set the Equal Pay Day. We don't set that date. We're part of a coalition on that, so you need to look at the equal pay information out there, and that date should already be out there for you.
Yeah, thanks, Melinda. AAUW does participate in a number of very broad coalitions on many of the issues that are important to AAUW and the work that we do. And this work is ongoing, and we do come together with other organizations to make a number of these decisions, and to come to a consensus on what we will be sharing moving forward and what we will be promoting. In addition, you've probably seen that we work in coalition to do sign-on letters for the issues that we want to be elevated for action. And so it's important that we do work in coalition with other organizations, because we are stronger when we are working with other organizations. I would like to address the question around national and connections with branch members, so that branch members can feel a part of what's happening with national. I really, one of my goals as CEO is really for AAUW members, donors, and our supporters to really feel valued, to feel engaged, and to really feel a sense of belonging with AAUW National, and the work that we are doing, and a connection to it. And included in that is sort of a renewed sense around how AAUW makes a difference, because you know, AAUW has a story that isn't just a national story. It is a story that takes place in states and branches. And, you know, we will be working on our ability to share our collective story and our collective engagement in ways that that sense of belonging is fostered in new and really impactful ways. So thank you for that question.
One of the questions that I see is inquiring as to whether or not there's going to be a transcript of this session available. And the member asking rightly points out that a lot of issues and points have been raised. This session is being recorded, so the entire webinar will be available in the next few days online for you to view again, to download, to share with branch members who may not have had an opportunity to attend today. And with respect to the questions, we're going to answer as many of them live as we can during the session, but for those that we don't get to, we'll put together something like a Q&A and provide a response to all of those, which we will post as soon as we can get to that. Because there have been a number of really good questions posted in both the Q&A and the chat box that we definitely want to respond to and provide clarification.
Absolutely. A question around AAUW staff that I would certainly like to respond to. AAUW, like many organizations, has a number of open positions. This is a time when people are transitioning to other opportunities. It's also a time when, you know, we have opportunities based on funding, for example, where we can open up some additional positions. And so we encourage you to, you know, visit the AAUW website and the career site and share that information about working for AAUW. We are looking for new talent to ensure that we are able to do the programming and support our advocacy work and our research. We are not fully staffed. But when we look around at the environment, we see that AAUW is no different than many of our partner sister organizations as we seek to fulfill, you know, positions in order to make sure that we are moving forward with our mission. We have brought on a number of new people since the fall, and we do have a number of individuals in the pipeline as we speak that have received offer letters, and we are very hopeful that they are going to join us at AAUW. So that's been very, very important for us to get up and get fully staffed. Let's see. Branch
I do see a couple of questions about needing help with recruiting members, and that is always a problem at AAUW. And we understand there's a concern at the branch level. AAUW has tools and information they can provide to you, but recruiting has to be done at the local level. I mean, you have to get out into your community, and the best tool you can have for recruiting is all the things that AAUW does, and why being a member of AAUW makes you a part of a strong nationwide, really international organization that is fighting for equity for women and girls. So we can give you hints on how to do it, but recruiting is very grassroots, and finding new members, I wish we had the secret to that, but we don't. But really look on the website and use that information to recruit people into this organization. Show them the product, invite them to your meetings, and don't just say join, join, join. Show them why they should join, and then they will join.
Thanks, Melinda. A question around Let's see. Does AAW have a position on CEDAW? If you take a look at AAW's public policy platform and our priorities, you will see that CEDAW is a part of AAW's platform. We certainly have been advocates of CEDAW for many, many years. Are we actively engaged at the national level in any efforts around CEDAW? The answer is not at the moment. It is not a policy issue that is on the forefront of what we are working on. But those of you who want to be engaged, I know that Cities for CEDAW is something that has been promoted quite heavily at the local level the past few years, and we certainly, don't discourage individuals from working on CEDAW at the local level, but we certainly would encourage folks to be engaged in priority issues that we know are on the forefront of having an impact on women and girls, particularly around where we are with the pandemic. Okay, question in the chat that I missed around AAW has been recruiting corporate sponsorship in recent years. What is the current status of these efforts? A number of them I did mention in my presentation. I think that the efforts around recruiting corporate sponsors have gone well. We continue to expand our efforts. Coca-Cola Foundation has been our largest corporate sponsor for 3 consecutive years, which has really helped us in expanding our Work Smart, Start Smart, Empower programs and launching the pilot for AAUW Money Smart. We have received funding from the Arconic Foundation for STEM Ed for Girls, as well as Baxter Foundation, funding from a number of other corporate sponsors in smaller amounts from PPG and other sponsors for the National Conference for College Women Student Leaders. And so those efforts are ongoing, and I think that we've made some traction, but we're going to continue to make sure that we reach out to our corporate sponsors, and we have received some corporate sponsorship for our programs that we have been doing virtually with our webinar series as well. So it's an ongoing process because it's important that we continue to diversify our funding base in order to bring the programs and the impact that we know is a part of our strategic plan. Question about evaluation of our programs. Yes, we actually do, particularly for Work Smart, Start Smart, for STEM Ed for Girls. All of our programs do receive an annual evaluation, in part because we have funding from our sponsors in order to engage the relevant expertise and consultants to undertake comprehensive evaluations. And so that does happen when we have the funding available to do it. It has been taking place on an annual basis for a number of programs. And we do share that information, in particular when we are sharing information about the success of Work Smart and Start Smart, for example. We do pull out many of those relevant sound bites and facts to show the effectiveness of those programs. And of course, we utilize the evaluations in helping us to secure additional sponsors and funders. Okay. We already answered Title IX. Let's see. Evaluating. Okay. A question about youth at the Commission on the Status of Women. How are they determined to be at CSW? Is there an annual call or application? I'm not sure about CSW in particular, but if you're referencing AAUW's youth reps For the UN, we are in a partnership with Lehigh University, and that's how we work with them on recruitment and management of our AAUW youth reps. I think in general, the CSW, NGO CSW website can provide additional information on the NGO CSW forum and how youth are being encouraged to be a part of the CSW. Melinda, did you answer the question about applications for national committees?
I did not.
Okay. When will applications for national committees open?
And I didn't answer that because I don't have the exact date.
No,
So
neither do I.
we will have to get back to you on that. There's several
Yes.
questions about CU partners and invoices and what are their dues. College and universities are just like every other member. They have to renew their membership or they join. It's online, and I, right off the top of my head, I don't know the exact dues, but it's a category of membership like everyone else.
Right, right.
And there was a question about finances, so I'll answer this one.
Okay.
This is a positive one. We're doing quite well for how we've been doing in the last years. Our finances have stabled. We are not running deficit budgets. We are doing programs only if we can pay for them. And I've been asked this question, you know, why don't you tell us more about the finances? It's on the website. Go to the financial part of the website. We have a 990. You can find out everything. You want to know how much the rent is? It's on there. You want to know how much each of the staff, high-level staff members make? It's on there. It's all public record on the website. So go look for the 990s if you want any detailed information about the finances of AAUW.
Great. Thank you very much, Melinda. And Julia, I want to make sure that we close this out on time. I want to thank everyone for your questions. And as Julia mentioned, we will definitely be making sure that the questions that you do have, some of which might be, very specific about certain issues or asking for the name of a particular person or resource, that information will be shared and that we will be posting the recording for those who would like to go back and have an opportunity to share the information with your members, but also to make sure that you have the information that you need in listening to the responses. We do appreciate everyone who participated this afternoon. This is the first in so many ways that we want to make sure that information is being shared. I'm looking forward to partnering with all of you and ensuring that we do continue to increase and foster a sense of belonging with AAUW, to hear your ideas. I will be continuing to listen, to learn, and connect with you all. And I appreciate, Melinda, you certainly highlighting the fact that AAUW continues to be a strong organization, and my goal is that it will get even stronger. So thank you, and I would like to turn it over to Julia.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you, Melinda. Again, we want to thank all of you for joining us today. I apologize for my brief period of silence. My house LAN line went down, and so I have rejoined from my cell phone because my computer is frozen. But as Gloria pointed out, we will definitely get a response to all of your questions and get those posted as quickly as possible. Just a quick reminder, the pandemic is not over yet. We are still being plagued by variants. Omicron is decimating many parts of the country in terms of the number of people, including young children who are too young yet to be vaccinated, being hospitalized. We have a number of members of my branch here in Las Cruces, New Mexico, who were fully vaccinated and boosted, who spent the Christmas holidays with grandchildren who were unvaccinated, and they now have been tested positive for COVID. We hope that it won't be as serious about with it as if they had not been vaccinated. But we want to continue to remind you all to be mindful of that fact. The vaccine does not prevent you from getting COVID. And yes, if you've had it once, you can have it again. So continue to be diligent in terms of using your masks and social distancing when possible. We want all of you to continue to be around and be healthy, contributing members of AAUW and helping us accomplish that mission of leveling the playing field for women and girls and to achieve our vision of equity for all. So again, stay tuned for new developments on the AAUW and equity front, and we'll be in touch very soon. Thank you all again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.